appreciate the opportunity to be here today. As Warren mentioned, the entering into the kids and family arena is a relatively new and selfishly motivated business for JibJab. So when I come to these conferences, it's always a little unique because I'm actually talking to people who know a lot more about it than I do. So what I try to do is, and what I'm going to try to do today, is tell you about the JibJab story and how we built a content business. I know a lot of people are struggling with how to build businesses around digital content. I think that might be the most relevant and interesting story to tell and share with you today. So I started the company with my brother, as you can say. So we like to say we've been in partnership since 1974 when he came along. I was 3 years old. And you can also tell which of us was the MBA and which went to art school. I'm the MBA guy, I guess, in the crew. And we grew up in a house where our dad was a computer entrepreneur. So we grew up around computers in our house all the time. Our mom was a jazz singer. So it was probably not a huge surprise that when we started a business in 1999, 14 years ago, it was because we were so excited about this intersection of art and technology and business and how literally the entire world was changing. So it was 1999. My brother was an independent filmmaker, which meant he was waiting tables in Manhattan. And I had just graduated from business school, which meant I was already broke. And so it seemed like a great time to start a business. But the real thing that excited us was that my brother and his friends, with a few $1,000s worth of equipment, were producing entertainment that just 5 years earlier would have taken hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars worth of equipment to produce. So what was striking to me is looking at this from the business perspective was that capital was always a barrier to entry, and that barrier was coming down. And the other thing that was happening was that distribution was opening. Before, you needed to find someone who would validate it and put it on a network if you ever had hopes of getting an audience. And our idea was, well, you don't need that. If you create something that's of superior quality, of really high quality in this new world, meaning email and dial-up access, people could share it and people could tell other people about your product. And so that was great. And we went into it with all this great enthusiasm, and then came the 2001 dot-com crash, where we really had to kind of evaluate what was going on. Are we ever going to make it? And then in 2004, on the cusp of don't tell anybody, on the cusp of, quite frankly, giving up and wondering if this internet thing is ever going to be useful for entertainment, this happened to us. And I'm going to play just a 45-second clip here of going from anonymous about to give up, and hopefully it'll serve as some inspiration for those of you who are, struggling.
The JibJab Nation.
Well, you know Gregg and Spiridellis. They are JibJab.
JibJab! The JibJab brothers are back at
JibJab.com are back.
JibJab Media.
JibJab.com.
JibJab. Go to JibJab.com. JibJab.com.
JibJab.
JibJab.
JibJab.com.
Wow.
JibJab.
This thing just been a huge success. Did you have any idea this thing just took off faster than anything else we've ever done, faster than we ever could have expected?
How many millions of people have seen this thing?
Well, it had over 20 million hits.
50 million people.
60 million people.
Over 80 million people watched it.
Our servers spontaneously combusted.
We did 3 times the traffic of Bush and Kerry's websites combined in July.
This land will surely fall for me. This land was my land, but now it's our land. So come on out to your house.
Technological revolution can open some new doors.
The internet's just been amazing. It's given us the opportunity to build a brand. This land belongs.
This land belongs. This land belongs to you and me. Yeah. Oh, Nick Cheney too.
So that's the magic of digital, the great thing that we all have every day that no one ever had before the internet came around. And so we had this huge success. It was really about kind of story format innovation. The fact that we did a political song was not an accident or happy, lucky just guess. For 5 years, we had been looking, oh, this works, music works, politics and topical content works, and photorealistic heads work for politicians. So a lot of the iteration that everyone in this room, I'm sure, is doing all the time just to try to figure out the format and make it better, we were doing. And so the result was mass awareness, mass media everywhere, made my mom really proud. We've got to premiere, videos for presidents. Woo, that's great, right? But we had the worst business model in the world. The business model of creating hits, as you know, is a really, really bad business on the web. You can have a hit with 10 million views. If you're lucky, you get a $5 CPM, you have $50,000, which is great if you get lucky and you post a video of your dog on a skateboard and happen to hit it. But really hard way to build a business, right? As we're all trying to figure out how to build organizations and cultures that can build more great product. So we started thinking about how does we get out of that and into producing, instead of one video that does 10 million streams, produce 1,000 videos that can do 1,000 streams each. And what we found was the challenge was stories, telling relevant stories to people on the web. So we were telling like really mass audience stories, presidential elections that happen at a really low frequency. And so the question we said was, how do we produce more? How do we get up here into like a high frequency, where we can be producing at a high clip? And the answer we found was life events. Well, what if we produce things around holidays, things that happen to different people at different times, as opposed to waiting every 4 years for the election? And I always call this the moment when the clouds parted and the light kind of came shining down. I discovered that American Greetings had an $85 million a year business in subscriptions in e-cards. And I said to my brother, hey, Ev, look at this. He said, Greg, there is no way I'm doing e-cards. And what really happened was we thought about it. It wasn't about what e-cards were, it's what they could be. It's what could we make them if we weren't kind of thinking about them from the way the other players in the space were. So in 2008, we launched an e-card business, and 5 years later, we've got, I think we're the #2 largest in terms of revenue for our e-card business. We've got over 2,000 videos that we produce, something that's come very much in handy. I'll talk about in a minute on the kids side. And we've partnered with some of the biggest brands in the world to produce kind of this entertainment, primarily personalized entertainment. And the key for the nice thing about JibJab was that we built a real business now. So we're 50 people, we're cash flow positive, I've raised money. If anyone's out there raising money and they want to ask me questions after, come see me, I've been through it all. But you kind of come through the woods, and we're 4 years after our last fundraising, and we have more capital than we had before. And the other great thing that happened is my brother and I became dads. And this is where the inspiration comes from now, and really, quite frankly, we have 5 between the two of us. I have a 2, 4, and a 7-year-old. My brother's got a 4 and an 8-year-old. And what we realized, you can't live in this world with kids around this age and be in this business, quite frankly, and not be blown away by how fast the world is changing. This is a picture I took of my 2 kids on a Saturday morning. I walked out of my bedroom, and there they were. This is how they watch Saturday morning cartoons. Two iPads side by side, watching Netflix for kids. I mean, not the same behavior, but a totally different execution that's enabled by technology, and just eye-opening. So my brother and I, we're in the digital entertainment business. Start saying, imagine what if, if the great franchises and brands and characters and stories we grew up with were no longer confined to that little box that was sitting in the corner. What if these characters, from their inception, were actually born and out in the world all around us? And that's when we created the Storybots. And so the Storybots this is our new kids and family franchise, and the mythology of the Storybots is they live in the world beneath our screen. So these are actually little creatures, and they live in our iPhones and our iPads and our computers and our televisions. And their mission is to make learning fun, to offer learning and fun for kids, and then to also offer parents utilities that make even the most challenging parenting moments more fun. We call them our sanity-saving parenting tools, because anyone with kids between 2 and 7 knows there are a lot of moments where a little bit of fun can go a long way, and I'll talk about those in a minute. So we're approaching the app space a little bit differently in that the core of what we're building is around learning and fun for kids, and that's our Happy Kids line. We also have a Happy Parents line. And I'll walk you through some of the apps that we're developing. So the first thing we went into production on when we launched Storybots was an ABC video series. It seemed like the best way to get started. And this is really tapping into our video production capabilities. And so the idea was, let's do a song, music. All the video we're producing, literally all of it is musical, or if not music, music and poetry. But we have a series we produce all over the world. So A was produced in-house, B was produced in Italy, C was produced in Argentina, D in Ireland, and round and round we go. And we're also doing a variety of styles, if you know. So the nice thing about Storybots, and one of the things we're really excited about, especially with kids, is they're rectangles and semicircles, and they can be interpreted in lots of ways, not only by kids, but also by artists. So we've got puppets and stop motion. And I'm going to show you one of the videos as an example. It's the letter X, and just the other thing I would love to point out is that we're trying to make this really fun for kids, for kids, but also for parents. So it's that music that, as a parent, one of the things we hear is on our Facebook page is, man, my kids love the ABC songs. We listen to them on the way to school, and then after I drop them off, I keep listening to them. That's kind of what we're going for here. So here's X as an example.
X marks the spot where we will hear a song about the lyrics. Extraordinary X. 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 Extraordinary X. 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 Extraordinary X marks the spot where the rocks in all rocks. X marks the eye when saxophone. X marks the love where the lights fill the love. X marks the dress where X is on. Extraordinary X. 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 Extraordinary. Are you excited about our exponential jurisdiction of Texas? Extremely. I hear it all in Texas. X marks the ox. Sitting on his treasure box. X marks the taxi going down the road. Extraordinary X. 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 Extraordinary X. X. We have now examined the letter X.
So that's one. We're doing a whole, thanks. Thank you. I wish my brother was here. He's totally responsible for that, but I could say thanks for it. What's that?
Exceptional.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. He'll watch it on YouTube and he'll see. So I appreciate that. So we're working with educators. Another series we're producing is around time and time concepts, and using music and repetition to help teach time concepts. So I'll play. This one's a little faster. This one is the days of the week. And again, the one thing I'd note is really the efforts we're putting into trying to make this fun for grown-ups too.
You can name all the days with a Cockney accent. You can yell them all out as you jump from a high dive. You can call each day by its last 3 letters. But you better get it straight. 7 days a week, not 8. The penal song is wrong. For the record, let me say that there's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Thanks. And I'll show you guys one more on the learning video series we're doing. This one's really fun. I'm embarrassed. I'm learning a lot, actually, as we do these. See what you know about the sun. This is one of 5 videos in production on outer space.
According to my calculations, we are now approaching
And
the
these
sun.
are temp voices, by the way. This is not the
It's
case.
getting hot in here. I'm so hot. I'm so hot.
Check me out, I'm hot. Yo, everyone, I'm the sun. I'm in the gas like hydrogen and helium. I keep the earth warm and help to grow food. I
on the center of the solar system, can't you see? Got so much gravity, planets orbit me. I'm 4.5 billion years old. In Spanish, everybody calls me soul. When I'm not around, you'll be feeling cold. Yeah, I shine so bright with my rays of gold. I'm so hot, so hot, so hot, so hot. I'll be crazy, really hot. Come on, Storybots, show me what you got. How hot am I? So hot. The sun is so hot, I have to wear these. Now I'm cold, so cold.
So that's outer space. We have thanks. That's awesome. We have a whole bunch more. We got like 100 videos in production, colors, and it's stop motion. And I mean, there's just a network of fantastic artists at my brother's corralled, working in kind of virtual teams all around the world, which I'm sure a lot of people here are doing as well. So it's very exciting for us to produce these sorts of videos. We're in the e-card space, a little harder to do character-based content. This makes it really fun. The next line of products we're doing are all around personalization. So you can imagine we've taken what we do at JibJab really well. JibJab's like 140 million, I think like 250 million faces have been uploaded by people, like 100 million videos made. So we've got a lot of expertise in technology and personalization. And so we've launched on the web, we have starring new videos at storybots.com. So we have 20 classic songs that you can put your kids and family and dogs and cats into. Really fun. We're doing a whole bunch of new series productions here that'll start rolling out soon. And then we also have, which is our main app, which was the first app we did, and also the main one is our Starring You Books app. And so the idea is simply bedtime books that you can upload your child's face and put yourself into the various storybooks. And we release a new book every month, and it's awesome. And this was really the first product because it was what came out of my brother. You know, my brother and I, our kids love Starring You on JibJab, and we thought, well, why don't you make these storybooks and put our kids into storybooks? Was the inspiration for this app. So you can see we do trucks. Not nearly as well as Duck Duck Goose, but we do have a truck book here. We have a princess book as well. Monsters, we do monsters, they're really fun. And music as well, of course, most of the stuff that we do is music driven as well. That'll probably take a second to kick in. But books are great, and this is like one of those examples. These are not hyper-clickable toys. We designed these as books. Like, we wanted this to enhance the bedtime reading experience. It wasn't about making a game, so there's really no interactivity intentionally, because the use case was, when I get into bed at night, I want to be able to turn off the lights and hold up the iPad and have the kids in bed and read a book. And so it's great, and I love it, and every once in a while someone wants to do something interactive in it, and I'm like, no, I don't want my kids, touching the screen. There's plenty of room for that, and actually it's a good lead into my next one, which is interactivity, is another area we're exploring. So this one we just got a write-up, thank you very kindly, for our Tap and Sing app, and we call this our guitar hero for kindergartners. You can pick a song, the Storybots raise their hands, and as you tap them in order, you can learn to play songs. So it's got concepts like melodies and notes and tempo and chords. They're very interactive and playable, but it's also great for open play. So here's what my brother's son, who's 8 now, did the first time he was given the app. And I'll say that Indiana Jones is not a song you can choose in here. That's my brother laughing. So if you can make a parent that happy, it might just be because it's his product, but regardless, if you make a parent that happy, it helps business. Which is actually a good lead in on our next slide, which is the other area we're doing that's not typical right now, and that's we're really trying to use our characters in our franchise to make parenting experiences more fun as well. So we've got what we call our Happy Parent line of apps, and they're really looking at utilities. Like, what are some utilities that you use as a parent all the time, and how can we kind of hack them and make them more fun and also more practical for you as a parent. So the first one we did is replaces the old reward chart on the fridge, and it's called Beep and Boop, and Beep and Boop are two Storybots. And it's a simple behavior game. And so when kids, you define the behaviors that you want as a parent, or behaviors that that you shouldn't have, and the kids earn beeps and boop. So they get beeps for things like being nice to your sister, or boop for maybe crying for no good reason. All the things that as parents, and when you're a parent and your son does something and it's the 20th time you're correcting that same exact behavior, and you say, I don't want Mr. Boop to come to town, it takes a little steam out of it for you as a parent. It's a little bit ridiculous. But so when you can set goals and prizes, it's totally open. So if you don't want the idea of actual rewards, you don't have to use them. My kids go on forever and they don't even define prizes. You could define special time, ice cream as a prize, a toy. And I just love this. This is my son when he earned his first Beep toy. This was a $3 Bakugan action figure from Amazon Prime. When was the last time you were this happy after spending $3? But it was that whole idea of achievement, the idea that we actually empowered people with these apps, and we've got now over 40,000 kids in Beep and Boop. We're at I think 600 or maybe 700,000 beeps or boops have been given, and we see really long usage times. Parents love this app, and it's been a big hit for us at home as well as for use from parents. So the next Happy Parents app we launched is called Coin Toss, and this is another parent hack. If you have kids in this age group, they fight over everything. I go first. No, I go first. So what we did was, at first, I actually used to flip a coin. But then they started fighting, I want heads. No, I want heads. So we launched Coin Flip, and Coin Flip is the simplest app. We get in the car, my kids, I want the first song, I want to pick the first song, we flip a coin. And so this is a coin flip. It's just pick the kids you want, have some Storybot left. Simple, fair, and no choosing heads or tails. This thing works like magic on kids. I'm telling you, they love it. They dream up reasons to flip coins now, and they actually play with it. So that's fun. And then the next app we have is called Kid Quoter. And this is utility for parents. For years, I've been hacking Twitter, and I just would keep every time my kid said something funny, I had private accounts for each of them, and I would just jot it down, so it would be date and timestamp. So with Kid Quoter, we made an app where, there's my son is convinced, by the way, that Google knows literally everything. All the great mysteries of mankind, Google knows. But Kid Quoter makes it just super easy to capture a quote, personalize it, gets date and timestamp with your child's age when the quote was said, and then makes these great little postcards that you can then share with family and friends. So very parent-focused, but really great, fun little utility for parents to have as well. So we've got now in motion, between what's out there now and what's coming, we'll have a dozen apps in the market by the end of the year. And the model that we're pursuing for all of these apps is a subscription-based model. So one simple price as a parent unlocks everything, because I think over time we can provide a very valuable service for parents on the curation and development of things that aren't one-off a la carte purchases, but rather included in a package of apps. So we'll be rapidly expanding the number of apps that we're developing using the Storybots characters over the next year. So if you've got great apps and you want to work with great artists and characters, and come see me, because we're going to be doing a lot of that. And the last thing I would just mention that we're really focused on, that really excites me the most, because I'm the product brother, I guess, the product business brother. And the thing that really excites me when I look at what's happening with kids, entertainment and media and opportunities for learning is this idea of contextual relevance. Like the idea that the content is no longer something you go and you watch and it's taking up a linear amount of your time, and it's not in one space, that it can be everywhere. So our vision for Storybots is really a suite of products that are woven into the family ritual. Another thing, if you've got kids, every day is the same. It's like Groundhog Day. Get ready for school, get out the door, drive to school, drop off. I mean, these are very kind of discrete chunks of time, and our goal is going to be to program it and really build not so much just focusing just on the kids' entertainment piece, but more of a broader family lifestyle brand. And everyone here knows this. This is preaching to the choir, but 14 years later, like, we get up every day so excited. Like, if you look at history, you know, all of the biggest brands that are the defining brands of our time were formed in periods of really, really rapid technical innovation. And the ones, you know, you look up here and it's everything from motion, you know, vaudeville to motion picture to sound and picture to color to music to television programming. All these things, you know, were made possible by changes in technology, and that's where we think we are today, and that's what we're really excited about building. And that's my story. So I'd be happy to take questions or.
How did you get so smart? No, wait, I think
14 years of sleepless nights.
you're following your kids.
Yeah.
You know, building the apps around the daily routine.
Yeah.
Is that's a good strategy.
Yeah, it's you see it when you look for it. You see all the opportunities. You know, I wish there was an app for that, and that's kind of. I think about that a lot, you know? And especially my wife's frustrations. It's not just my kids. It's like, I try to solve my wife's problems. Beep and Boop was literally invented because my wife was going crazy trying to figure out some sort of a really good reward system. And most of the problems were with the fact that it's on a fridge, and when you're out at Target and you gotta get through the checkout and back home, it really doesn't help. So, and to make it more fun. So that's how Beep and Boop came about, and it's where we look for new product ideas every day.
When I was teaching in the classroom, I wanted an app that was called Grouper. So I could just push the button and take the class roster. It would balance all the student variables, like put all the leaders, and you could group them by, you know, by gender or by put a leader in each one automatically. And then I could always blame the computer and say, oh, this is what the computer thought up. I didn't do it. That's why you're in the same group. Get along with it. Anyway, but that's questions.
Great sound.
Oh, thanks.
Can you define what is free and what is part of the subscription? Or
Sure, yeah. So all of the Happy Parent apps right now are free. All the utility apps are free. So the idea is that we want to get parents engaged and show them it's our best way to get parents engaged with our brand, and then introduce the learning and fun apps. And they're very separate as well. So it lets us do more of the things that we use to build JibJab around viral distribution and that sort of thing. All within the parents' control. I mean, it's a very, I could go on forever, it's a very different business on that front. All of the Happy Kids apps, so all the videos and Tap and Sing, starring ebooks, all those apps are free to download with sample content, so like one free book, and then membership is the upsell.
Can you talk a little bit about your strategy shift from, like, you've had this subscription model for a while, where you just get a book a month, to this broader subscription strategy?
Yeah. So we used to have like a book of the month club, which was entitlement based, which was you're a book subscriber and you get a book every month, and then you own that book. Whereas now the model is an access model, more like Netflix. So for $4.99 a month, it unlocks absolutely everything in the Storybots universe. But when you're no longer a subscriber, you no longer have that access. You still have all the free access that we give, free books, free videos, but you don't have any of the member content. And that decision was purely based on a couple of things. One, as a parent, as a company producing content and marketing it, I didn't want to be in the business of constantly selling the next thing, because I think it's very hard to build, especially in the kid space. It felt to me hard to build almost a deeper relationship with the parent, where most of the time you're talking to them, you're trying to sell them something. Whereas the messaging around a subscription model becomes, okay, you converted because you wanted access to 26 personalized books for $4.99, and then you get an email and say, oh, hey, you also get these other 11 apps. Oh, and when we release a new one, we say, oh, we just released a new math game app. Oh, and by the way, it's included in your membership. I think it builds a very different kind of relationship. And then the other consideration was just really economic viability. I mean, as you can tell, we spend a lot of money on our content, and I think the bundling strategy is just a better strategy for content for us. On JibJab, bundling has worked. You can't buy an individual card on JibJab. You need to be a member for $12 a year. It worked there, and I think it's I think it's going to work here.
Can you talk a bit about platform? Are you only on the App Store, or what are your plans for that?
Great question. We are iOS exclusive because I would say 14 years in business, the mistake I've made over and over and over and over again is trying to be in too many places at one time and sacrificing product quality in all those places instead of picking one place and just doing it awesome. So, with Android, I'm still too concerned about device fragmentation, screen sizes. I don't feel like I control the quality of the experience well enough. And at the same time, we're trying to figure this out. Like, I present all this like, hey, here it is. But truth is, I don't know. If we know in a month it's not working, we may shift again. I think it's easier to stay nimble when we're focused on one platform. So we will go there, but it won't be until we've really got the business model working on iOS only before we try to go fight on the Android front as well.
How long has Storybots been out, and how much traction is it getting in terms of the brand and the marketing and people knowing about it?
Yeah, so we've been trickling out. So we invented the name Storybots in January of 2012. So everything is just a little over a year old in terms of from conception of the idea to execution. We launched Storybots.com. Beep and Boop was one of the first apps we built. We built that in, I think, April or May of 2012. Oh, we just had our year anniversary. So just a year on Beep and Boop. The website soft launch with no marketing, I think, in July. Our official launch was September. It's just, our strategy is really not to do big launches now. I've seen that movie too many times. You get all hyped up, you're gonna have this big launch, and it just doesn't do anything. So now I'm like, as soon as content's out, just get it out there. What's going to build the brand is like people's exposure to the content. I'd say we're very much looking to life cycle email marketing with parents to expose all of our new content and products. And I think it's really important to, you have like COPA issues that you got to be super careful about, but it's really important, I think, to build a relationship with the parent and be able to tell them about all the things you're doing. So email, I think, will be our most important channel.
Hi, I really enjoyed the presentation. It's really cool. I noticed that in a lot of the videos, I heard a lot of male voices, and the sound was male. I'm just curious, are the robots themselves gender neutral? What do you think about your role as a designer to make sure that you're making a safe place?
Yeah, my daughter, I have a daughter, and I get this question at my company all hands as well, and it's, I'll be totally honest. My brother and I created these guys, and we're guys, and so but we're removing ourselves from it. So some of the voices you heard are still temp tracks, actually, and other voices, like the 2 songs, are actually just third person. They're not the actual characters singing the male voices. We're working on that right now. It's something we got to get a little bit. They are gender neutral. There is no specific, gender characteristics of any of them, but as male creators, we're trying to figure out how in the process to get more female perspective earlier in the creative development of these franchises. So, Achilles heel exposed. Here it is.
Sorry, do you start subscriptions with in-app subscriptions, or is this something that they go to your website? Because does Apple allow you to just have subscriptions on purely app-based content, or you have to have content?
We do. We're really cautious, as you can imagine, about complying with with Apple's payment rules. So you can buy, just like Netflix, you can buy. Netflix doesn't let you buy in the app because they don't want to take the 30% hit. We let people buy in the app or on the website, and we don't link out to the website. We're playing super carefully by those rules because it's not worth it for us. Quite frankly, people complain about Apple's 30% all day long. I'll tell you, I've seen conversion rates are so much better with that frictionless payment process than they are. I'd rather take 70% of a one-click button than present people with a credit card form. So, but we're really careful about it. It's a really.
Speaking of Apple, you're pretty familiar with iTunes and the whole thing. Do you have any things that you would like to improve about Apple, or come back next year, what would you like to see in 2014?
That's a great question. What I would love to see, the most important thing I would love to see is for us to disable, like kids kids come into, your parent downloads a free app, and then there's that authentication window where you don't have to put the password in again. So typically the use case is parents download the app and they'll give it to a kid, and I think there's that, whatever it is, 15 minutes, I don't know exactly now, window where kids can authenticate payments without having to put the password back in. I would love for them to enable the developer to shut that off and require the password every time. So if I had one ask, that would be it. I also think sometimes, though, you got to look outside the App Store for channels to acquire users. Like that's why I'm very focused on using the web to give the user some free content to drive user registrations, and then we can then educate users about our products because we have a registration. So I don't spend a lot of time thinking about discovery in the App Store because I feel like it's beyond me. I don't see how you win discovery in the store itself.
Just curious, do you see any challenge with COPA with some of the personalization features that you have? Are you going to be able to keep that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, our law firm does an audit on COPA. I've got one of the SEALs does an audit on COPA. We just make sure we're keeping all of the, we're evaluating our vendors and what they're tracking and making sure that all of the things that we're collecting are from grown-ups and using authentication. I mean, I think the problem was, and I was speaking to someone at lunch, is almost the scariest thing about COPA is you don't know if you're in compliance. I mean, and that's really the scariest thing. And so when you're an entrepreneur or you're building a company or you're trying to do something, I think like you live in the risk zone. You're always in the risk zone, and you say to yourself, is my intention good? Am I building what I would want for my own family and my own kids? And am I one of the best players? And am I in the top group of players in terms of privacy and security and all those things? And and hope you're not in violation in a way you don't know about.
So for those related to the child's picture, is it actually saved on the iPad, or is it saved on your servers?
It's saved on the servers and the iPad.
That's okay with a COPA?
You have to talk to my law firm and my SEAL company, but the way there's a lot of changes in the funnel and the communication and where we need to authenticate along the way to make sure they were telling us that we were in compliance. So there was a lot of iterations. So,
that's it is.
Yeah, I mean, it is, right? Except, what is it, Donald Rumsfeld, the known unknowns and the unknown unknowns, I mean, we're playing to the rules as we understand them.
I have one more question, but do you write your own songs, or do you have?
Yeah, we do. We work with educators to come up with, on those learning videos, lists of points that kids at our age range are capable of learning, and then we work with a variety of songwriters actually. So we have a bunch of artists that we work with. We used to write it all ourselves. What's that?
Play piano?
Do I? No, I don't.
Shoot. Trumpet?
No, drums.
Sweet. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks.